The rumor mill has begun to turn, with many insiders saying the shock jock could make a comeback, and soon. And it wouldn't be the first time. This guy's overcome drug problems, health scares, and other infamous career issues. As one writer put it, he's got a cockroach's knack for survival, although I think some just prefer to call him a rat. If you somehow don't remember the scandal that removed the veteran shock jock from the airwaves, let me refresh your memory. This past April, Imus called the Rutgers women's basketball team, quote, nappy-headed hose. He was subsequently canned from his radio show under intense public and media pressure, even after repeated apologies. Now he's hired Lenny Bruce's lawyer, a veteran First Amendment lawyer, and word on the street is that Imus is carefully, quietly planning to take another shot at the mic. But does this guy deserve another chance? If he got his radio show back, would people listen to it? Joining me now, Earl Afari Hutchinson, a national syndicated columnist, and Bob Kolker, a contributing editor for New York Magazine, who recently wrote an expose on Imus's comeback, including that line about cockroaches. Bob, thank you for the line. And I'm wondering, he's coming back, isn't he? There's no question here, right?
Sooner or later. He's just too determined. He doesn't want the, quote, nappy-headed hose to be his epitaph.
Well, and right now for his career, it is. But that raises a question in my mind. My parents listened to Don Imus as I was a kid on Long Island, New York. They listened to Don Imus for years. He's been doing this, what, 40 years? And this was honestly nothing new from him. Had he not said that line, maybe his listeners would have said, what the heck happened? Why did he crumble under the pressure? Was it because he was apologizing to he would go out in the street and say, hi, I'd just like to say I apologize. I mean, is that what did it for him?
A lot of the people who are on Imus's side of things would argue that. They would say that the minute that he caved in under pressure, that was exactly what the problem was. But I think there's a bigger institutional issue here, too. Ever since WFAN became under the ownership of CBS, suddenly there was a new accountability in place.
Well, okay, I want to go to the other guest real quick here. And, you know, I got to tell you something. In watching this Don Imus thing explode, implode, watching his career go, get swept into the carpet, and he's just a big white racist piece of garbage, the fact that he's coming back, who's going to be mad about this?
Well, I think that a lot of people will be mad about it. Certainly Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, certainly a lot of African Americans, maybe even the women's coaches at Rutgers, and also the women's basketball team, and a lot of African Americans. But I got to tell you this. My take on it from day one, Don Imus should have stayed on the air. Don Imus should have stayed on the air because when you really look at the state of talk radio in America today, and Don Imus certainly is not the typical shock jock, when you really look at it, a lot of things are said that, quote-unquote, are offensive. What did Don Imus say that was really offensive? And also, when he did his mea culpas, he repented. I mean, he did everything under the sun. That sent a signal right there that here's a guy that really took what people said seriously, and there was a sensitivity to it. So I always said, look, Don Imus is in a good position to make a difference in talk radio. And we also know something else. When it comes to issues of race and politics, Don Imus is one of the best. So I always said Don Imus is probably better on the air than off the air.
Yeah, but Earl, you say that, but half the reason that Don Imus is off the air is because he went and apologized to Al Sharpton on his little radio show that nobody listens to, gave Al Sharpton all the power, and let Al Sharpton basically put his finger on the plug of that microphone and yank it out. Sharpton actually thinks he's so powerful now that he has said, I'd be okay with Imus coming back. We'd have to examine the situation, but I'd be okay about that. Is it that Don Imus, after 4 decades, doesn't understand the business yet?
Well, I think partly that, but let's deal with Al Sharpton and public opinion. Al Sharpton basically is reflecting what a lot of African Americans said. And I got to tell you, I heard that over and over again. Get rid of the bum. Get him off of there. He's a racist. And I would tell people, okay, I know Al is saying that, you're saying that, and others are saying that, but have you listened to others in talk radio? Have you really listened to Don Imus? And after saying that, I have to say this. In terms of the business, Don Imus, I think, understands the business. I think where he went wrong was he stepped over a line and didn't anticipate the backlash because of the business element.
Well, I got to tell you this. I disagree in that Al Sharpton was reflecting anything. I think that Al Sharpton actually gave that opinion to a lot of people who were listening. Saying nappy-headed hose was wrong because of who he directed it at. Had he just said those words on face value, guess what? I just said it 7 times in the lead into you guys, and I'm not going to get fired. I'm not going to get in trouble. Now, and Al Sharpton's not coming after me. He thought he gauged public opinion. I say he gave the public that opinion, and he goes forward every single day when he wakes up in the morning and says, how can I further divide, the people here in this country? Robert, I want to get get a little more from you on this. Don Imus has been doing this for 40 years. I cannot bring this out enough. I'm a talk radio host. I would never have said nappy-headed hose. Not the kind of show that I do. I don't think that what he did readjusted my show even an iota. But this was the man's show. And this goes to why he's probably going to win this lawsuit, because CBS and MSNBC, everybody knew that he did this kind of show, right?
That's the most ingenious thing about his legal strategy ever since he was fired. He found a lawyer, Martin Garbus, who defended Lenny Bruce, and they crafted a legal complaint together that still hasn't been filed. But even without it being filed, it's accomplished a lot. It brought CBS back to the bargaining table, and because the argument was so ingenious, and here's what it says, basically. It says that CBS, his employer, said that he could say whatever he wanted. Said that he was supposed to be risque. He was supposed to, you know, get people offended. In fact,
if he weren't risque, Robert, I mean, he could have been fired for not being risque enough, right?
Exactly. And also it argues that nothing Imus said is in violation of FCC standards, and that much is true.
Hey, Earl, I want to take about 10 seconds here. This is going to be the most listened to radio program ever in the life, isn't it, when he comes back?
Absolutely. Bring the guy back, I got to tell you, the ratings will just go off the chart. You know, when they did the poll with the New York Daily News, guess what? About 90% of the individuals said, let's bring Don Imus back. Huge fan base. We know that he's going to make an impact. And by the way, he will be back.
All right, and you're going to be listening, right, Earl?
Well, absolutely.
Bob?
Why not?
Earl, Bob, thank you very much.